States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I open the meeting to the comments from the public at this time.
Hello, everybody. Just here to kind of give a brief report on how the 4th of July went.
State your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jason Juno. I was the fireman in charge of the 4th of July coordinating. I had a lot of help. I'd like to appreciate and do appreciate everyone that helped me. I'm not going to mention names because I know if I forget somebody, I might upset someone. So everyone knows who they are. I had a lot of people that helped me. I think as far as the way the 4th of July went, we had a lot of people on the Sunday during the parade. I had nothing but comments on how many people were in this village on that day, more than normal in the past few years. I think Michael Bryan deserves a great round of ovation because he did a good job on the fireworks in the parade. As far as the entertainment, I did the best I could. You know, we all did the best we could in the time we had. But I do see the ongoing problem for next year. You know, I was burnt out by Sunday night. I could barely stand. My wife could barely stand. She took the truck home, and I had to walk home, and it took me forever to get home. I was exhausted. You know, people had to work the next day. I fortunately took the day off so I could rest, but it was pretty tough. I don't know what's going to happen next year, but we should really look into maybe talking to some of the more of the businesses in the area that do get good business from this 4th of July, as far as maybe helping out, getting volunteers from the village to help out in the booths. Any help that can be done, because I think it's a pretty darn good show that we put on, and make it any better in the long run, it would really help with the best help we can get. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody that did help me out through the 4th of July. It was a pretty good turnout, and we did a pretty decent job and raised some money for the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Just took part of my agenda.
Sorry.
Quite all right. Anybody else at this time?
Yes, I'm Bruce Sigmund. I'm the chairman of the truck committee for the fire department, and we'd like to address the board. Last fall, the company realized that we need to have a new pumper truck. In fact, we have two trucks that are very old. We have one that's 34 years old and one that's 22 years old. We have the most oldest firefighting fire trucks in the county. That doesn't count the rescue truck and the others. Our company plan was to replace the 1967 pumper as soon as possible. And down the line, in 10 to 15 years, as the tanker wears out, we replace that. Right now, it's in very good condition, and the village has kept these trucks in very good running condition. We don't have any problems right now, but they did have to do some work on one of them last year. We equipped the truck with a 1,500-gallon tank, a quarter tank, and a quick dump. Now, the reason for the large water would be that we have a lack of manpower. So when we get to the scene of the fire, the water can be used as the other men are hooking up and arriving. They would help hook up the hydrants. Also, in case we have a frozen hydrant in the winter, we would have that extra margin of safety to go to another water source. Also, many of the theories in firefighting today are a massive attack. 3 or 4 men in the truck can use a lot of water in a hurry and knock the fire right down. We've talked to fire chiefs in other communities, and this is some of the attacks they're using. Also, if we do become a city, we would have to provide this fire protection to the outlying district that would encompass the city. So again, we designed the truck with a folder tank compartment. Now, if we decide not to put a folder tank in the truck at this point, and wait until the tanker wears out, the compartments can be used for other equipment. And there'll be an opening in the back of the truck where when we do get a folder tank, it will slide right in, and it'll be a dual-purpose truck. Okay, the truck also will have a foam system. We have many dangerous chemicals in these trucks. We don't know what's going through our village and the railroad. So it'll be equipped with an automatic foam system. Also, this truck, like none of our trucks we have now, if something happens, we lose our water supply to the truck, or they decide they're going to hook and ladder up and you need more water. The men can still be fighting the fire, and you can add another water source. There's a valve on it, so you can have 2 water sources, but they don't have to be hooked up at the same time. This is going to be a very large truck, because nowadays the safety requirements, federal and state, the men have to ride inside. We have no control over the lighting. We're going to have lights all over the place because when you open the door, on one side, all the lights come on. It's all computer run, and this is mandated that we have these lights. We really have no choice. We have a choice of the style. But where they put the lights is dictated by federal and state regulations. Now, if you decide to make any changes in the spec, we'd like to be part of this. Down the line, I'm sure you're going to discuss it, and if you decide which way you're going to go, the committee would like to be part of the discussions. We look forward to working with you in the future. Are there any questions?
I have one. Do you have an approximate cost, Bruce?
I would say $300,000 plus or minus $20,000. Some companies are, for instance, American France makes a much heavier chassis. They said they make heavier seats. The metal of the truck is heavier. It's a over-the-road heavy chassis, so they will be probably over $300,000. Other trucks, I do not have that heavy. So we've looked at, I have here, we talked to the following representatives: Spencer Fire Equipment, Pierce, Sutton, Seagraves, KME, LaFrance, E1, Four Guys, and Hammer. So we've talked to all these representatives since last December. Some of them have brought them demonstration trucks here, and we've driven them. This is as far as we've gone.
Are we getting close, Bruce?
Close.
To making a decision, you think? Or-
Well, yes, our decision is here. The company has voted on these specs and to submit them.
Okay.
So if we approve the specs, then you go out for bid?
Then you go out for bid. It's in your hands now. We will just advise and counsel you as you work.
How long to get the truck? 6 months?
Seagrave said they're in full production, they have no demonstrations and demos, and it will take over a year. KME said they can give us one in 180 days. American France also 180 to 200 days. That's working days, 10 months. So if you order the truck in late September, which will be here till next fall, September, late August, it's possible some of them could do it faster.
Bruce, one of the questions that I've been hearing a lot is the difference between the aluminum and the stainless steel chassis and the chassis basically.
Many of the trucks are aluminum now. We decided to go stainless steel on the body, that's the back of the truck, the front will be aluminum. I went to the Plattsburgh Fire Chief, the assistant chief, who was in charge of equipment, and looked at the trucks and discussed that they have aluminum, Pierce aluminum trucks, and they've had no problems. I checked the paint is perfect. I think they've only had them 3 or 4 years. They'll guarantee the paint 7 years. We're hoping for a 10-year warranty on the paint, but many manufacturers are now going to a 10-year. Many trucks are completely aluminum, and they've had no problem. The problem with 1,500 gallons is you're right at the maximum of the axle. If we went even 200 gallons more, they'd have to put dual axles on the back. And then we would have trouble backing in the firehouse, but we then now have 5 trucks and 5 bays and 6 trucks. So that's why we went with the 2 axle for the heaviest wheels and axles. And of course, we're advised by the salesman what we should have.
I know you spent a lot of time on this, Bruce, so we appreciate all the work that all the fire department put in on it.
I didn't do it alone.
I know, but you put a lot of hours in it. It's appreciated.
Now you're saying that it's a dual-purpose truck.
It's a dual
Now,
purpose truck.
eventually down the road, can you eliminate one of the trucks in the station?
One of the tanker, as it wears out, it would be replaced by this truck. Or we're going to have to replace another truck within 5 or 6 years in that neighborhood. So if you don't put the big tank on this truck, you would have to put it on the next one, because the tanker is going to start showing its age. Right now, the end of this runs, the hospital, it's got 1,200 hours, that's 600 trips to the hospital. The tanker has 1,200 hours on it. And it's one of our most used trucks. It goes to all the outside fires, out-of-town fires, mutual aid, goes into Canada, Vermont. It's one of our most used trucks, so it's probably going to be the one that's going to wear out after these 2 pumpers.
Bruce, you mentioned the foam system.
Excuse me.
you mentioned foam system. It's my understanding that we may have a foam truck given to us fairly soon. Is that?
Yes,
what's
but
the
it's
status on
not
that?
positive. This would be the first truck out of the firehouse. So we would have the foam right there. We wouldn't have to call back to the station for more manpower to drive the next truck. And if we do get that truck, it would have to be housed perhaps in the old village garage until improvements are made to our firehouse, an extra bay or something like that.
You have a
But that
cost
truck
on the,
would,
you have a cost on just that system?
that foam system is about $2,000.
It's not a big cost.
No, it's just
Better
pennies,
off to
really.
have it.
I think we're, yeah, just to let you know what the status is on the other one.
We did spec a more expensive one, but we downscaled it. We have an A and B foam. We decided since the other truck is coming, that we would only need A foam. That would be for tire fires, Plattsburgh standard procedure, for every car fire they use foam. And this is automatic, just press the button and it mixes it automatically.
Sounds very good. Very good, that's very good.
So I'd like to present this to you.
Okay.
I wish I had copies for all of you.
No, I'll make copies.
And this is the cover sheet, which is quite extensive. I'm sure the village has their own, and I use a combination of the two.
That probably won't use this at all.
Now, I typed it, so there's a lot of work in that.
I know, but
I'm gonna hand it in no matter what.
we have a standard bid package for the village. Any other questions for Bruce? No. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
But would this be brought up later in the meeting of the new business? or
No, I
discussion?
don't think so. We got a very busy meeting tonight.
We'll probably have, make copies and give everybody the over the specs. And maybe by next meeting, we can, see if anybody has any comments on it or whatever.
Anybody else address the board at this time? If not, you'll have, okay, go ahead, Paul.
I'd like to address the board now because I don't want to hang around. Okay. I don't see any of the items that I'm involved in on here other than the report Bruce just gave. There is an application for a $300,000 grant. I beg your pardon?
We haven't heard a word.
I think it's time you call your friend. I mean, you have a friend in Washington. They promised to announce July 1st. Of course, we all know that nobody ever keeps their words on announcements of grants. But I'm suggesting a simple phone call might expedite, gives us the precise amount that was applied for.
It's not gonna hurt.
And it will, I mean,
Tomorrow or next day, we'll call.
wouldn't hurt. I mean, because they said they were going to announce them July 1st. It did go in the appropriate time frame, and it was in fact well in advance of the time frame, 10 days before the due date. And it actually specified many of the things that Bruce brought up, and it's just amazing that the dollar number matched. That's the first comment I'd like to make. Second comment I'd like to make, if anybody wants to take a ride down by the boat ramp, we'll see the bathrooms are being constructed. The frost walls have been poured, the footings have been poured. It's going along quite well. Had the pleasure of watching somebody launch and bring their boat back in on the new ramp. Gets you thrilled. I also had the fear, and I'm glad to see an insurance person here tonight. As I drove by the old state dock, which is now ours, and under our liability aspect, I see some people fishing off that. That's not a bad deal. It's okay, but due to the village's pre-existing law, which was passed in 1984, which says pre-notification is a requirement, I am strongly suggesting the board consider putting up signs, swim at your own liability. Please?
Good point.
Okay? Because now it is our liability. I don't mind people, and I think it's okay for people to swim, to fish out there, but if they're gonna swim, if we all are aware of the dangers, and we would be closing our eyes to it if we didn't put signage up.
I don't think a sign is gonna change our liability, though. Gene maybe can answer that. I think if
Well-
somebody gets hurt there, whether it's posted or not,
We're
I
responsible.
I don't disagree with that, Brian, but the law passed in 1984 says that if the village board is notified of a condition, it must take action, okay? And if it puts up a sign, that's action, okay? At least it gets them that far, and I'm probably, Jim could tell you, yes, we will still be liable, I mean, the insurance company would still be liable for it. But they would have an out if we did not respond to pre-notification, okay? Right?
Put a sign up or not, somebody gets hurt over there.
No, if we did not make pre-notification, as I'm doing right now in this meeting, that it is a liability situation, your insurance company could back away from this.
Not really.
That's the way it happened
I
last
still think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And it's gonna cost us a few bucks for a sign and that's it.
Okay, I don't see anything on your agenda regarding my last appearances request. I don't see any commitment, and I won't go into the details of that, but the grant applications for the continuation of the lakefront are going to be mailed out of here no later than the 15th of August. Please respond. I also like to take 1 second to personally apologize for any comments I made at the meeting that offended anybody. My language. Third thing I would also like to, or fourth thing I guess, I would also like to bring up is this is actually under Trustee Penfield's bailiwick, the grocery store research or search committee. I got a crazy idea.
Great.
Yeah. Well, if the grocery stores won't come here, why don't we go to them? And what I have in mind, or what I'm thinking of, a nice, really not overly expensive thing to do would be for the village to inquire through the Department of Transportation and the county planner, of the possibility of acquiring a medium-sized bus which would run on a 45-minute schedule daily from Rouses Point to Champlain Shopping Center, which would provide people with transportation not only to go buy their groceries, but to go shopping. It would resolve many of the issues that we're facing. One of the obvious reasons we don't have a grocery store, we're not going to get one in a hurry, is the location of the present one is not expandable. The particular building and the age and materials inside, the equipment inside is outdated and very cost inefficient on heating and electricity. It's not an attractive thing for somebody to come in and invest probably $500,000 just to get that place up and put a grocery store in. I'm not saying you'll never get one, but then look at the rest of the village where you can put one. So maybe part of the solution, at least for the time being, would be a bus. It doesn't have to be a super brand new bus, but that's how Hart started and it worked for them. But I'm saying not one that runs all the way to Plattsburgh. I'm just saying a little local bus that goes back and forth to Champlain on an hourly or a 3/4 of an hour basis. People could get to use it and be transported right to their shopping capability and back and do their banking and the whole 9 yards. And I mean, it could have a little route that it could go through the village. It seems to me like a pretty viable, sensible way of doing things. And I do believe that either the Department of Transportation or conceivably the county planner can assist in finding some funds available for that kind of thing. Just a thought.
Good idea.
That's it.
Thank you,
All I've got
Paul.
to say.
Thank you, Ron.
Anybody else at this time? You'll have a chance at the end of the meeting. I'll close the session at this time. Report on bid opening 50 Rose Avenue.
You all have a report that there were 3 sealed quotes. One, Mr. Rainey Bedard asked to have his name withdrawn from the project that has to be included in future bids. Aubrey Excavating and Trucking. Mr. Aubrey had no insurance certificate in the bid. And D.E. Richards, he did have the insurance certificate and the amount is listed there.
It's the board's wishes.
Make a a motion that we award the bid to D. Richards on.
Well, could we maybe ask Jeff to explain it before we make a motion?
There was a series of events that led to this. Number one being, I made the fatal mistake of not setting in writing. I made a verbal request to the village office. Any further communiques pertaining to demolition or work to be in the form of a bid made by our company, all communiques were to be directed to 1660 Ridge Road. Apparently, the request was written down, but it was never enforced. This particular letter went to 75 State Street, and it was a telephone communique. And I inadvertently didn't include the insurance binder. It's my fault, but however, I have on you have an insurance binder which includes the Village of Rouses Point as additionally insured on file. Gene Shawman's company is the company involved. They're right next door to the village office. It was a minor oversight on my part. However, I didn't receive a copy of that letter inadvertently. I just forgot to put the binder in. It's not that we don't have insurance. It was just a minor oversight. Why spend more money when my bid is lower than D.E. Richards for a minor oversight of this sort? It's not that I don't have insurance. There is a copy on file with the village additionally insured. Now, Bev Bayshard does not take this piece of paper and make it gospel. She calls each and every insurance company for verification of insurance. So irregardless of whether I included that piece of paper with that particular bid, it is still on file with the village. And I feel for the board to award D.E. Richards the contract with a higher price than mine is not fair, not only not fair to me, but not fair to the taxpayers as well.
I will answer that. I have in front of me the letter that went out. It goes on to say that the board is requesting quotes to remove 2 junk vehicles on the property that must be returned, along with demolition, must be returned by 11 a.m. July 13, 2001. A certificate of insurance must, and it says must, be submitted with the quote. Bottom line is, Jeff, I'll tell you what. About 2 months ago, we awarded a bid to another contractor for hire because the guy didn't put a bid bond in it. And that wasn't just a couple $1,000s, that was around $70,000, because we cannot do that. The law says what it says. If we award this bid to you, and Dennis Richards could take us to court and he would win, hands down.
Okay, well then I suggest, since there was a miscommunication between myself and the village, in all fairness, then the thing should be set to rebid.
I can't go along with that.
I don't think that's right. I made a specific request. The request wasn't validated. So I never even saw a copy of that letter. All I got was a telephone communique from my father, and that's how the slip-up happened to begin with.
This was sent out July 3rd, and you didn't have a chance to see that letter between now and the 13th?
Not with my schedule, sir, no. We're doing an average of 14 to 16-hour days right now. I'm still playing catch-up with the town of Shazy.
Well, it's a board decision. And, I have a motion. I haven't had a second yet, so we were actually discussing this without a motion.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to have him explain it because I didn't really, I mean, it's not the first time you've bid on a contract here, Jeff. I mean.
No, but I had a similar circumstance with the 94 State Street job. The bid paper was sent out, everything was in order there. I was a parallel bidder for that one. However, the lawyer decided that there was a problem with the letter on that, and it clashed with my time scheduling. I have several other jobs going on all at once here, and you can't be in 2 places at once. Basically, even a delay to the 25th, which was suggested. Maybe it'd be best for Tom Renan to make the decision for the board as to what the legal ramifications could
I
be
believe
on.
that's already been checked into, right, Beth?
Tom Renee, as you know, because I believe you called there, is on vacation until July 25th. I checked with the New York State Comptroller today, and then they said the quarter was non-responsive to the specs. So it was a board decision.
Okay.
If the board wishes to make the decision contingent upon Mr. Renee's decision,
I don't think it's fair to the other bidders that produced the proper
Right, it's not.
bid package.
Well, I have a
Whether or
motion.
not there was miscommunication or not,
I will second it. So we can-
Okay, now we can discuss it. Now we can, I have a motion made, second. Now, discussion.
well, like I said, we had quotes that, people that bid on it that had the proper bid package. Whether it was miscommunication between Mr. Overy and the village,
I want to go on record right now saying that Mr. Overy never spoke to me. I don't know who he spoke to, but he never spoke to me. Now, Jeff, you know, you never talked to me about
No.
putting
no, it
that,
wasn't me.
saying that to you. Had you asked me to, I would have done it, but
Yeah.
you never talked to me.
It was in person at the village office.
Okay, but it wasn't to me.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
I do remember that much.
All right, thank you.
Have you had a chance yet, Jeff, to put that in writing for us, where the address to which you'd like the correspondence?
No, I was
to be
gonna wait
addressed?
and see what happens here tonight before I do anything further with anything.
Just a suggestion, though, I think it'd be a very good idea to do that as soon as possible, because, again, you would want to avoid something like this happening.
True, but like again, I say, the purpose and intent of including this binder is to show that the contractor has insurance. You already have the same binder with the same additionally insured, being the Village of Rouses Point, on file. Isn't it, you see, of course, I would have the viewpoint of it being kind of redundant from my end, of course, but I can see the point the village has as well. It's not fair, but is it a really, truly fair situation to me? No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Well,
Yes, it is,
the
Jeff.
bid package was put out there.
And the
As
reason-
that,
And it was sent to the wrong address, as per my request.
that was the address that we had.
I made the request pre the sending out of this particular bid package.
Yeah, why didn't you notify me of that? I'm the code enforcement officer. Pardon me? Why didn't you notify me that the address was changed?
I stopped in at the village office, and the girl just made a note of it. I thought everything was okay at that point.
Probably should have notified me.
Yeah, I wish I would have. No, but-
So Jeff, could you get Bob a copy of your current address then, so that we do have it on file in writing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's not gonna be a problem, no.
Any other discussion?
Well, I'm not real eager to spend an extra $3,000. However, if we do have a letter that we send out with the information that says you must, where we gotta live by the rules.
Well, that's what we're saying.
I'm sorry about that. I wish we didn't have the rules.
There's a letter that states
What we do.
we have to, the certificate of insurance must be submitted with the quotes.
It's like you didn't even apply it, because it's incomplete, so
Yeah.
it's like it's not even there almost.
Right, exactly. I know, and that's unfortunate. I say the same thing as trustee Huckrow. I hate to spend the extra 3,000, but we have a bid package that was complete and was completed to our specs. And if they aren't completed to our specs, then we have to throw those out. I mean, by law.
Yeah. No.
I mean, like we said, we've done it before for more money, but that's the way we have to do it.
Any other discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor of the motion, vote by the side of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Is that the motion? Okay, minutes of the previous meeting. You all have copies of the minutes?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded.
Thanks, Bruce.
Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Bills. Copy of the bills, is there any question of the bills? I send is there any,
No additions or deletions, I just want to know, and I'm sure you notice that we're trying out a different format. A little bit more detail, and can actually tell you what you're purchasing. So far, I've had positive comments on it, so.
And make a motion, we accept the bills as printed.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by using sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Correspondence.
The first piece of correspondence you have is addressed to the village board. So we received the enclosed letter. There's a copy of the letter which was sent February 9th from Mayor Rivers, stating in writing that you would put in your 2000-2001 budget the funds to install a fence on the end of the recreation center property. When will this be done? Last weekend there was a game at the end of the field and people were again using our yard as a bathroom. This is from Joy and John Sequin, 81 Montgomery Street.
We promised them we'd take care of it. We don't have any choice. We talked earlier today about maybe it's time we looked at putting a bathroom facility down in that area. Can't do it this summer, I don't think, Bob, again.
Maybe this fall.
But in the fall, but maybe in the meantime, we could look into the cost of a porta potty. And
They didn't put the money in the budget for the fencing.
I know we didn't. Is there enough money someplace that we could partially do that fencing?
I don't think the rec center, I think we had gotten a price on that. I want to say it's around $4,500 to have that fence put up.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's going the whole length of the back, right?
It has to go the whole length across. They want to come from the ditch line all the way over, and they just cover the corner of their property so people can't go around it.
But I thought that 4,500 was the whole length of our
No.
property.
No. It was just that, well, that property is about 325 foot wide, George, back there.
You got any money squirreled away?
I'll get it. I don't, I'd have to really look at, my, like, I really got ours taxed out what I've done so far, so I'd have to look at my numbers if you give me some.
If not, can we at least put a porta potty down there for as long as the little folks are there for the summer?
Well, you can put a porta potty down there, but the problem is the kids at night are gonna just tip it upside down, it's gonna be nothing but a mess.
Well,
You know, I know I feel bad about it, and I wish there would have been something done about a toilet down there sooner than this, but maybe this will enforce of us doing something.
I think-
They should have at least one bathroom down there, it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
No, just one corner.
Yeah.
Way down the back corner.
The far corner where the
Back
Gallagher.
corner where the Gallagher field
Is
is.
there any way we could secure the porta potty to one of the dugouts, Bob?
Well, yeah, you could, but knowing the kids around here, the way they operate it, you know, they're plastic. They're gonna pound a hole, you're gonna end up buying it, let's put it that way. You're gonna end up buying it, no matter who puts a porta potty down there, they're just gonna bang the hell out of it. You're gonna end up buying it before you're done. It's too bad, I mean, you know,
What about if you tucked it into one of the dugouts and then ran something around it? So you couldn't,
Good, yeah, I don't think you can.
you know, put like that strapping that's
one of the
around.
bad ones, but they're way on the other end of the field.
Yeah, they're way down the other end.
It's hard because they have girl teams, and it's hard for girl teams. Boy teams are not getting over with all these, but little girls can't do that. And Mrs. Barcombe has been left them, you know, use her place, okay? And we do have to, you're absolutely right, we have to look at doing something. I got the sewer down there, and I probably can pick the water up down there, you know, so. We can probably look and see what we got. Put it on the,
Even if we put a bathroom down there, we're still gonna have to put the fence up.
yeah. Well, yes, you're gonna have to put the fence up because you promised it, but the bathroom is like, I might have enough, I'd have to see what we got laying in the yard. I might have enough pipe to do most of it, you know. See, I'll have to look
I
at
mean,
it.
that's a project we can look at later on this summer.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line, we're right to here now for Village
Well,
Crooks.
you tell me what you want to do on the fence and we'll get a hold of the fencing outfit.
Can we take a look at that tomorrow?
Yeah,
And then see if we can get a price of,
yeah.
and we can find some funds somewhere to do that. It's one of those things that slipped through the cracks, I believe.
But we still got to look at the bathroom out
Oh, yeah, I'm not,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So the bathroom is more labor than anything, you know. But I think we got a couple toilets laying around. It's just a matter of building a nice little building, you know. We don't need to, you know, anything too fancy. Something that's clean, that cement floor, and it's clean.
Yep.
That's easy to clean, actually. Maybe out of tin, you don't use it in the winter time, tin's the cheapest way to go. Little cement floor, treated lumber, timber off the sides, inside.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing further.
None. Okay,
The second piece of correspondence you have is from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. It's regarding a public hearing, which is July 24, 2001, to discuss New York State's Clean Water State Revolving Fund Low Interest Financing Program for water pollution control projects. The public meeting will be followed immediately by a public hearing on the program's draft intended use plan for the current fiscal year 2002. There's a copy of the draft of 2000, I think you have a copy of this, don't you, Doug? I don't know if anybody's planning on attending this, but are you interested in this?
It's not necessary for any of us to go to that. We're familiar with the regulations. That is the funding we're tapping into, but it's nice that they invited us, but we don't need to go.
Okay. The last letter that we have is not on the agenda because it was hand-delivered to me this morning. It's addressed to the mayor and members of the village board. So my name is Thomas Keith, and I reside at 86 Pratt Street in Rouses Point. I would like you to look at the following situation for corrective action. In 1995, I was one of the people instrumental in raising money and building the Amy Gallagher Memorial Ball Field, which is located on the village property behind the Rouses Point Rec Center. I literally spent Father's Day of '95 building the dugouts of this field. There were many people who were instrumental in this endeavor, including the village and village employees. I believe the village board passed a resolution in regard to the field and its use. It is our intention to provide a field for girls. For too long, girls athletes, particularly softball, was left to inferior fields. The original intention was to provide priority to a team that would continue to raise money for this effort. It was never our intention to exclude any team, particularly a girls team, from use of the field and the dugouts. As most things go, many of the original children and parents who raised money are no longer involved in the Rouses Point Rockets. On July 7, 2001, I went to a game at this field for my youngest daughter, who is 8. I was stunned to find that there are padlocks and chains on the dugout doors. When I inquired with the coach while these were not open, she replied, Glenn Garrison has the keys and no one is allowed to use these dugouts. Several parents and taxpayers like myself began a conversation with trustee Dale Menard, and he said we should contact Linda Fredette. I do not see this as a youth softball issue. I see this as a village issue. As a taxpayer in the village for many years, and again, one of the people instrumental in building this field, this practice should stop. No individual or team owns that field. The village of Rouses Point owns that field. It should be available to all girls teams having priority, and then any other children's team who wants to use it. I understand the dugouts should be locked for safety and security, but no one individual should possess that key. It goes on. If you want me to read the rest of it, I will, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory from there on.
I absolutely agree with you. We cannot do that. I think we ran into a couple other situations with that. You cannot give anybody exclusive use of public property. Public property.
That key probably ought to be left here at the rec center.
If they want to keep them locked,
Well, they should be, like I said, I mentioned that they should contact Linda for that because she's the coordinator for the coaches and stuff. Well, she should have keys, she should be the one holding the keys to these. And she should be passing these out to her coaches.
to the coaches.
You know, and like I said, I mean, if those are Glenn's locks and he doesn't want to remove them, then we can have the village employees remove them and we'll put our own locks on with enough keys for coaches, every coach to use that.
Got it, let's use it.
You know, that's what we said, you know. So, I don't know, do we write a letter to
We don't need
Linda
a
for that
motion to
or
that.
Glenn Pearson?
I believe this morning that they were unlocked. I don't know if someone relayed this complaint, but I talked to Michael Bryan about that this morning. But, you know, I agree that at times they should be locked, but.
Yes, I agree.
But I
agree.
think that Dale's done an excellent idea here, and that each coach has a key to it.
I think
How do you
there's
want to
only
handle
a couple, 2 or 3 girls teams that would use it. One is Glenn's and one is Kim McGoldrick, and I'm not sure if there's another one. So, I mean, it wouldn't be that much of a deal to pass out 2 or 3 keys, you know, maybe the 4th key to Linda Fredette. who's the ordinance.
And I still think you should have one here.
Yes,
You should be
and
here.
the village should have one. You know, it should be a village thing, not Glen Gearson thing.
So how do you want to handle that? Do you want us to write a letter to Linda asking her to contact him?
Or just tell her that we're gonna change the law.
Should let
I
Glenn
don't
know
know.
what's going
Let's,
on.
yeah, let's get a hold of Glenn and, you know, ask him to remove his locks and we'll put our own locks on. We'll put village locks on with keys made to pass out to the coaches and a couple to keep for ourselves.
Maybe you could show him the letter too, that he knows where it's coming from.
I think he already had no.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
he probably already knows, but I will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then also inform Linda for that.
Yes. Do we need a motion on
With
that?
a copy of everything to
Do
my.
you need a motion on that?
I'm just gonna write this down, this was your board decision, if you want to make a motion, you can. And I will copy Mike O'Brien with all of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could keep a key, keep one to Michael Bryan, keep one in the office,
Okay,
you know?
all right. That's the extent of your correspondence.
Reports of mayors and trustees. First of all, I wanted to report on the 4th of July, but I believe Jason took most of my thunder, but I would personally like to thank everybody who was involved, especially Michael O'Brien and the village crews, all the village crews. I mean, the cleanup afterwards had to be done by the village crews. As always, they do a good job, do a great job, not a good job, they do a great job. They're out there the next morning, like people in the park with the sticks picking up the paper. Mike certainly and his crew deserve a lot of thanks for the time and that extra effort they put in for the whole celebration. The fire department, and what they had done, Jason and his crew, getting, you know, putting together the barbecue and the car show and stuff and entertainment. It certainly was a great celebration. And I say like Jason, I think this board is going to really have to address this situation, and it will be within the next couple of months. We can't wait, we cannot wait until the last minute again. With that, next item, I request an executive session on contract negotiations.
Second.
And a second, roll call vote. Trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Huckrow. Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. And that's it for me. Trustee Menard.
My first item is, I'd like to make a motion that we do request an executive session for a police matter.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, roll call vote. Trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Huckrow.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
And my second item is to also make a motion to request an executive session for an electric customer.
Second.
Roll call vote. Motion made and seconded. Trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Huckrow. Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
And my last item is a discussion on the MEUA annual conference. I guess all we need to know is how many people plan on attending so we can make reservations.
I believe we have 3 now. Does anybody else want to go? Booked up, all right. That's
Make
it.
them-
Make reservations for 3, please.
I think we have a motion from last time. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Trustee Menard. Trustee Huckrow. Oh, my God.
First item is that with request for executive session on a police matter.
Police matter?
Second.
What's going on with you? A motion made and seconded.
Excuse me,
Electric.
electric personnel. All right.
Even Bob was wondering back there.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Huckrow.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
Getting punchy with the executive session. Request an executive session to discuss office personnel.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, roll call vote, trustee Menard.
Aye.
Trustee Huckrow.
Aye.
Trustee Penfield.
Aye.
Trustee Jefferson.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
No more. Gene Chauvin is here tonight to discuss the village insurance policy. Gene? You can ask me any questions you want along the way.
I sent you a letter with all the new policy. I don't know if you all have one or not.
Yeah, everybody has copies.
Okay. And the breakdown of the premiums of the different coverages. This year, I was able to get the insurance company to give you a little extra coverages for the fire department, which is always needed in the past. That was one of the big ones this year. Also, the other thing that I had the insurance company redo was the computer systems coverage. Before, we had a certain list amount of coverage for the computers at the village office, so much at fire department, and so much at the library. Now they have $250,000 for all the computer systems. So you don't have to worry about, well, do you have enough coverage on your computers? That's taken care of. The premium is up a little bit this year because of the work that the village is doing. Because the liability insurance is based on the budget. And with all the underground wire that's going on, it's costing a little bit more than normal. So that went up a little bit for that. But a lot was done with the fire department. They picked up the liquor liability. They picked up the director and officer's liability. They picked up the Good Samaritan liability. In other words, if an EMT is out any place in New York State or any place in the country, comes across an accident and he jumps out of his car to help out, he has liability coverage if something should go wrong.
Any questions for Gene?
What is the computer coverage covered?
Anything that happens to it. Mechanic, yep, electrical, fire,
If it falls off
lightning,
a desk, it's covered?
falls off a desk.
Okay.
You don't cover
Yes.
getting hit by a hammer.
Arsene throwing it out the window doesn't cover it.
It doesn't cover wear, tear, or,
So it doesn't have to be damage to the building? that the
no,
computer's in?
right.
Okay.
Anything that happens in a computer could have a electrical breakdown, power surge to it, lightning come through and do damage to them.
We've got that much computers on board.
No, that's
No.
blanket coverage.
It's
Is
blank
that-
now.
Is that just for the hardware,
Hardware, software,
software as well?
yes.
Okay.
See, before the village, the way it was set up is it had like $2,500 for computers at the fire department. Well, if you upgrade the computers at the fire department and we only have $2,500 worth of coverage, well then, that's all you're gonna get if something goes wrong. Now we don't have to worry about it. If you upgrade the computers at the village office, which I imagine you do every month, like I do, it doesn't take much to add up.
Just give you an update. We don't need any action on this, do we, Matt? No, I don't think so.
No, just to kind of inform you about it, let you know what's going on with it.
Some
The
information.
additional coverage, I think the premium's up, what, about 3,000? Something like that?
Something like that. I think it was like 78 last year, I think we're around 82 this year. For the additional coverage and because of the extra work going on in the village.
We pretty well covered, Gene,
Much better this year than it has been in the past, that I know. Because I've been working on it every year. Every year I try to find something to increase the coverages to help the village out.
well, you're building a new house, aren't you?
No, not building a house.
Somebody said that.
Yeah, everyone said that. Thank you, Gene.
Okay.
Request authorization for the treasurer and clerk to travel to Carhunkin, Pleasant Valley Resort for a Mount Fall training.
I need a second.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion?
Well, it probably would save a little bit of money if we... Ooh, never mind. Never mind. Send him in the village, right?
Any other discussion? All those in favor, vote by using sign of aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carried.
And Doug, update on water project.
Okay, on the water project, we've been quite busy in the water department. On the zebra mussel front, on Tuesday, July 10th, we had one of the top 3 leading zebra mussel experts in North America here on site to check out what we're doing against zebra mussels in Rouses Point. And she worked with us to install some sampling plates inside the pipeline that we're studying to do a paper on in October in Washington, D.C. at the next International Zebra Mussel Conference. She was quite impressed with the way we do things here in Rouses Point. Mike Riley, Gary Nowinski, Dave Supernaw all did a super job while this young lady was here. And we had everything planned to a T. We were out on the barge that was provided by Dennis Richards. And while we were there, we finished the job. I handed her the clipboard that said we would be done at 11 o'clock. She checked her watch and said 11:10. So she was pretty impressed with everything. So also on the zebra mussel project, we continued to finish up the chemical injection installation. We're 99.9% complete. We have 9 more stainless steel straps to attach, and then we'll be complete. Bobby's people in the street department are going to backfill the chemical injection lines on shore, and then we'll be finished. Again, Mike Riley and Dave Supernaw and Gary Malinsky did a super job here. Mike Riley was out on that barge for many days in the rain. While the divers were underwater, rain didn't faze them. Mike was up top with his raincoat getting drenched. And then Gary Malinsky was out there in his blue jeans, using them kind of like a scuba suit, finishing putting the pipeline in on shore. So the guys really worked hard on that. On the water tank, we had a telephone conference call with the design engineer, Tisdale Associates, on Friday, July 13th. And John Hookrow, the chair of the water committee, was there, as was the mayor and Beverly Bayshard. And we spoke with John Carr about the water tank. And John Carr told the mayor that he could have the bid package ready in approximately 2 weeks for the water tank. But we have 2 major obstacles still. One is the release of the property from Wyeth Ayers. We really need to own that property before we can start constructing on it. And also water rates. I planned to have a package in your boxes on Friday. I'm sorry I didn't finish it till today, so I'll give it to you after the meeting. But it's entitled, "There's No Such Thing as a Free Water Tank." And so we have to look at this, and the board should be in a position to make a recommendation as to how they want to spread out the cost for the water tank at the next board meeting. And that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Board, any questions?
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Huckrow, and you have a super vacation.
Thank you.
Trustee Penfield.
I have 2 things. The first one, George, goes along with what you said in regards to what was in the Press Republican this morning with the cheers that they gave to both Jason and Mike O'Brien. I agree with you. We need to look at that as soon as we can. And I think it's really nice for them to get the public recognition. But I think their comments, while they were very positive, also were a little bit leading to say that the interest might not be there from other volunteers. So I think it's really important for us to do that. Do you agree, Brian? Or? It was very nice for them, but I think it's a point very well taken that the board needs to sit down and look at what we want to accomplish next summer along the same lines. And the second thing goes to what Paul was saying earlier in the meeting. We did have a meeting last Monday night of a committee of about 22 residents who are very interested in taking a look at how we can attract a grocery store to the village. We've talked about this a number of times. Where we're at this point is we're looking for people who are willing to do some of the legwork and to do the best marketing job that we can regarding what is available here in Rouses Point, and just to make people aware that we are in need of a grocery store, whether it locates at the old Grand Union space or not. We discussed also doing some advertising both over the internet and in non-local newspapers. And it doesn't have to be anything flashy, but just to put an awareness out there that we are looking for something. So we will probably be meeting, I would guess, sometime in the next couple of weeks. And I would watch both the Press Republican and the North Countryman for a date and time. And that's it.
You got something else there.
I do.
Penciled in.
I do.
On mine, it says paper waste.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It's penciled in on mine, I don't know about yours.
Okay. Well, as Arsen was saying earlier with the bills, Arsen, I like the new format, but I had a conversation last week with both he and Bev about the amount of paper that gets printed. Now, I know this is a very small issue, but it seems to me that perhaps we could either try with some of the paper that we get to read in our mailboxes, and I don't know, think this over, but it would work for me. If some of the reports and those kinds of things, that we could have one central location in the office, or we could try a routing system where we're not necessarily copying on everything, but we have the paperwork available to us. I don't know. It was just an idea that we were throwing around. I know it's a very small
Well, I
issue.
think it's an excellent idea, because there's enough stuff that we get that we make copies for everybody.
Because there are certain things that I
Like
know
the
that,
Clinton County Legislature thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Certain
looked it over
packets
at
like
first,
that.
but it really doesn't pertain to us.
I know it does pertain to us, but sometimes there's information in there that does.
Yeah.
right.
But if you wanna look it up, there could be a central location in the
Central
office.
location in the office. I agree with that. I think that's a great idea.
It also might save some time for our office personnel in terms of copying that could be better spent doing other things. So it's just something for us to think about.
So, you know, I think if those correspondence that we get that are not needing board approval and stuff like that, we put in a central location we can read, and if we read it, cross our name off.
It's a possibility, it's something to think about, so.
We certainly get reams of paper.
Right, and most things are very important. Most things I like to have to read, I like to have a copy of.
I
But
was going to ask Arsen to actually take some stock out of the paper company.
You got too much money now.
No, the village take out stock. Thank you, trustee Penfield.
thank you.
Trustee Jefferson, O'Brien.
I was
Brian.
down. Fair trustee. I was down talking to Tommy Reed today, and everything's going good at the sewer plant. Of course, we're behind in the roof and stuff like that, but it's pretty much out of our control. Nothing, Doug, that you have to report on, any?
No, on the same conference call that we had with John Carr on Friday, July 13th, the mayor also spoke with him about the sewer plant projects, and point blank asked him about the roof, and he was informed that the roof bid package could be ready in approximately a week and a half, and that John Carr would be at our next board meeting, the first Monday in August. It's August 6th, I believe, so we should have some news that night on that project.
I just have a couple other things too. Thank you, Doug. Again, I just want to say that I thought we had a great parade this year, and you know, I think Mike and the village workers did a real good job, and I really appreciate the effort they put out. I think the fire department did real good this year. I think they made money like crazy, so I'm real happy about that. The only other thing that I had is a couple other people, Chief, have mentioned to me that on the weekends they can't get into the boat launch because there's too many Canadians from San Marino blocking the boat launch. So that a couple times I forgot to mention it to you. And then somebody else asked me if there's any way the board would consider putting sidewalks up on Academy Street, would be on the south side, like from where Eris stops, switch over to the south side of the road, then bring it up Academy. I know there's nothing we can do about it this year, but
You're talking about Lower Academy?
I'm talking about as you go west up by Eris.
As you turn the corner by the water plant.
Somebody's asked me about that a couple different times, but they caught me in a weak moment, and I always forget to write it down. So I didn't make a note of it, but I did this week. And one other thing, it sounds weird, but I gotta bring it up. We're having some complaints that people are walking their dogs in the village, and their dogs are doing their business on the sidewalks instead of on the grass. A number of people brought that up to me, and people gotta realize if your dog puts it there, you're responsible for it. So either pick it up or put it in the grass or do something with it, but don't leave it on the sidewalks because people are tracking it into their house and it's not making happy residents. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, trustee Jefferson. Bev?
The only thing that I have, and I think most of the board knows, that I am leaving for Buffalo tomorrow to, for the initial closing of senior housing. It's 11 o'clock Wednesday. It's been a long time coming, so although I'm not happy about driving to Buffalo, I will do it.
Beautiful this time of year.
So. Thank you, trustee Jefferson.
I don't think you made any points, Brian.
Nice with
Is that it, Bev?
That's all, yep.
Arsen? I don't have anything. Chief?
Other than wishing our clerk a safe and happy trip, I have nothing.
Bob? Yeah. Oh, where's the other Bob? There.
Nothing.
You're supposed to be over there. I didn't see you. Anything, Bob?
Nothing, George.
Okay, we're ready for recess. Oh, wait a minute. I open the meeting to the public. No one wishing to address the board at this time? We're ready for recess, 5 minutes.
Make a motion.
8 o'clock.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.